right. Welcome to the Saints Happy Hour Daily.
It's a Wednesday, and this Saints Happy Hour is free to everyone, but you should sign up like Monica did and Frank did at the $10 level so you get complete access to everything Saints Happy Hour, the daily podcast, Andrew's write-ups, and you get your own special swag box that includes...
Monica and Frank, were they new patrons as of this
They
week?
are new. Monica's new. Frank upgraded from $3 to $10. So,
all right, welcome, guys.
Welcome, guys.
Frank,
so you
thank
get your
for
own.
Upgrading.
Yeah, thanks for upgrading.
Monica, welcome.
You get your own swag box. You'll get that at the end of the month, early next month. We have big freaking plans. You're gonna get the Crew to Taste Some Cup, the koozie, the magnet, the sticker, some other cups that we have planned, a mask that Dave is cooking up for us. It's going to be amazing. You want to be a $10 patron, believe me. So today on the free podcast, me and Andrew want to discuss a topic that we think will make people excited and angry, and it'll be fun. Deonte Harris, he's little, he's amazing, and he's fun. Andrew, I think he can be the next Tyreek Hill from Kansas City without the wife and child beating. And I think he's that explosive. I think Sean Payton is going to cook up a bunch of stuff for him. He won't do the volume that Tyreek Hill does for Kansas City, but I think the Saints are going to cook up some fun stuff for him on offense. I just don't know how much they'll use him.
First of all, I haven't paid too close attention to the Tyreek Hill stuff. Is he really a wife and child beater?
Yes.
Both?
Yes.
Yikes. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awful. And yeah, I certainly hope that Deonte Harris bears no similarities there. My God. But first of all, let me just say, Ralph, your position here is absurdly ridiculous, awful, and there's no way in hell that's ever going to happen. I love Deonte Harris. I mean, he's a great story. He's a guy that I have more hope for in the offense, and I know we're going to talk about that in a little bit. So that there's a lot of reason to be excited, but I think to compare him to does he have the potential to be Tyreek Hill? I would say no chance. And first of all, I mean, I think it's important to remember Tyreek Hill, his first year in the league, he caught 60 balls.
Yeah.
He as a rookie, right out of the gate, he was a good player. And, I think, and that's in addition to being the best kick returner in the game. I mean, really, as a rookie, he had 2 punt returns for a touchdown, averaged over 15 yards per punt return. He had 1 kickoff return for a touchdown, went to the Pro Bowl as a return man. So, Harris, maybe not quite as dominant statistically as Tyreek Hill was. So I would say Tyreek Hill, his rookie year, was better than Deonte Harris as a returner, which is what Deonte Harris currently does best. But then, on top of that, there's a big difference between 5'10" and 5'6".
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing that gets me. Tyreek Hill looks tiny. Deonte Harris looks miniature. So that's the thing. And I guess my point is,
you already conceded that your argument is total horseshit.
Well, I don't think it's horseshit, because I think what Sean Payton can do is not that he's going to get Deonte Harris 60 catches like Tyreek Hill's rookie year, or even that he'll get him 30 catches, but that he'll get him 20 catches and 5 runs, but he'll average like 25 yards a catch. Like, teams he'll make it to where when Deonte Harris comes in the game, teams will be fucking petrified of it. It'll sort of be like the dollar store version of Devery Henderson. Like, remember when Devery Henderson was at his peak? He didn't catch a lot of passes. I don't think he ever caught 50 balls in a year. But when Devery Henderson was at his best, he was the kind of guy, like, I remember the Bears game in 2011. The Bears had Urlacher. Their defense was good. They played 3 fantastic series against the 2011 Saints offense, which was just one of the best offenses of all time. And you know what happened on the 4th series? The Saints went over the top to Devery Henderson for 80 yards, and the game was 7-7. Like, that's what Devery Henderson did. And I think Deonte Harris can do that on a much smaller scale, but if he gets 20 catches and he averaged 20 yards a catch, that's 400 yards. Add in another 5 end arounds where he averages 15 yards a run, and you're talking 500 yards of offense beyond the kick returns, and I think that would be significant, and I think that's what he's going to do.
Okay, now you're talking my language. I mean, you remember Joe Morgan?
Yeah.
Joseph Morgan. He was a receiver for the Saints, and I think most Saints fans remember him. But obviously he tore his ACL and was never the same. But he was a deep threat, and that was really all he was. Now, he made the team a couple times because he would run back punts for touchdowns in preseason.
Yes.
And so he was an explosive guy, and that's how he would make the team for starters. But he was a deep threat. I remember, so in 2012, Joe Morgan caught 10 balls for 379 yards. That's an average of almost 40 yards a catch.
Dude, his catch against Tampa in 2012 is a top 10 all-time Saints catch in Saints history. Like, he caught it, like, twisted over a dude. It's fucking insane.
Talking about against Tampa?
Yeah.
Was that the Tampa catch? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. But so that's all Joe Morgan really was he was just an explosive big time playmaker because of his speed and field stretching ability. But if he doesn't tear that ACL, if he doesn't have that injury, and he never really was able to come back from that. And actually, I met him at the Greenbrier and talked to him, and I remember him telling me like his knee injury was catastrophic. I mean, it was what's the other receiver? Cam Meredith. It was Cam Meredith bad. And he told me at the Greenbrier, he's just like, yeah, he's like, you just hear ACL, you hear injury. He's like, not a lot of stuff has come out on my knee, but it was way worse than what people said, or what the information that's out there didn't tell the whole story.
Well, he was a minor player, right? If he would have been a major star with the Saints, you'd have got more reporting on it. You'd have known more about it. But because he was Joe Morgan and he wasn't a household name, no one really cared. No one did the investigating. No one leaked. No one would report on it, right? But that's totally true, right?
Yep. But so, I mean, I think when you look at what Deonte Harris did this past year, and obviously the kick returning aspect of his game is tremendous, and I think he holds a record at Assumption College Division III for most or Division II most kick returns for touchdowns. So we know he's awesome at that stuff. So I do think, given his speed, and we saw the 50-yard catch from Taysom Hill in the playoffs, I still think he has that field stretching ability. But where I think he's different from Joe Morgan is I actually do think Deonte Harris has the ability to do kind of the Sproles stuff. In that, Joe Morgan had the top end speed, but Joe Morgan was not this shifty player that had great hands and could, cut on a dime and make a guy miss. I mean, Joe Morgan was really a deep threat. That was what he did best. And I just think Deonte has so much more variability to his game. I mean, he's a plus version of Tommy Lee Lewis. That's what Deonte Harris is.
Deonte Harris is what Sean Payton always wanted Tommy Lee Lewis to be.
Yeah, he can cut on a dime. He can also be patient. He can set up his blockers. He has good feel. He has a good way of positioning his body when he makes a catch, to stay in stride. And I just think when you're going to go short possession passing and try to utilize him going in motion, doing a jet sweep, kind of doing these tricky, fancy plays, it's really what the Saints tried to do with Brandon Cooks, and Brandon Cooks just couldn't do it. Yeah, Brandon Cooks is really, like, as his career has developed, it's become more clear that he's just an outside receiver. That he runs good routes, he has good hands, he can stretch the field a little bit, but this vision that Sean Payton had for him, which was almost like this Reggie Bush meets Lance Moore, like he just couldn't do that stuff. Like, it was like a hybrid of Bush and Moore, and he couldn't do that stuff. Well, I think Deonte Harris actually can.
Well,
now he doesn't have the speed, so I think the main concern, he doesn't have the size. the main concern for me with Deonte is going to be durability.
Well, it's durability, and also Drew Brees is on the other side of 40. He doesn't throw the deep ball nearly as much as he did previously or as well. It doesn't matter because the Saints have thrived without it. But my concern is how many deep ball shots are they going to create with Deonte Harris, and is Brees going to be willing to get him the ball? I think Brees will be. And like I said, you just listed Joe Morgan. Like we're not talking about volume. We're talking about 10 to 25 catches most likely. And
well, there's no denying though, Ralph, that Deonte Harris and I bring up all the shorter field possession passing stuff that I think he can do, the Sproles stuff, because I do think there's a role for him in this offense with Drew Brees as the quarterback.
Yeah.
But make no mistake, the one deep ball they hit with Deonte all season was in the playoffs when Taysom Hill was throwing the ball. So,
yeah.
Yes, I do think that while he can stretch the field, and look, Brees over the last couple of years, he's hit Ted Ginn deep a few times. And
yeah.
I don't know how much he hasn't done it with tons of success. We know the deep ball is kind of, I don't want to say been taken out of the Saints offense, but it's declined severely. And, part of that's maybe on Ted Ginn, but Brees has on occasion hit Ted Ginn deep. And I still think Deonte Harris can go in that role. But if it's Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston down the road, I do think that would open up what Deonte Harris can do for this offense. I think when you look at Brandon Cooks, and to me, I mean, statistically, he had good seasons with the Saints, but he never reached his full potential with the Saints because I just think it was a bad fit for his style as a receiver and what Drew Brees could do, at his age and with his declining arm strength. I just think like Michael Thomas, for example, is a way better fit. But I do think Deonte maybe will be maximized with a different quarterback. But my point is the Sprolesy stuff, the hybrid role of Lance Moore and Reggie Bush, that's a role that Deonte Harris can have and that this offense can utilize now with Brees as the quarterback.
Well, and the thing is, too, just think about the Saints offense. Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and Kamara, Deonte Harris in a package. Yeah. Who are you going to cover? Okay? And Deonte Harris has proven that he can run by NFL dudes and clown them. He did it in the playoff game. Like, he was wide open. It would have been a touchdown if Taysom Hill wouldn't have thrown him a punt, right? So my thing is, there's a chance that he's going to be just he's going to have that Coby Fleener thing that I always joke about. Coby Fleener was amazing when other teams forgot to cover him. I think it might be similar with Deonte Harris, where it won't be that teams forget to cover him. They'll try to cover him one-on-one, and he'll just roast dudes, and he'll just be wide the fuck open.
I think there will be times where he's in a certain package, and teams aren't paying attention to him because you have Michael Thomas, you have Kamara, you have Jared Cook, you have Emmanuel Sanders, you have all these guys that demand your attention, and so he gets the matchup that you're looking for all week on tape. You're like, if we can get him one-on-one, there's no safety help. There's no guy playing over the top. They're daring us to throw deep, and we get this matchup with Deonte, we're throwing it. We're going deep ball to him, and my hope is that the Saints will be able to have him in the game enough to where they'll be able to hit that play on occasion.
Get out of here on this. And by the way, this is
like
free.
You said, it's not going to be Tyreek Hill statistically. He's not going to be this dynamic weapon that all of a sudden is, catching 80, 100 balls. I mean, that's what Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders are for. That's why they are in this offense, and they're the volume guys. He's never going to be a volume guy for the Saints, but I do think he can have more snaps on the offense. And, if anything, I would say the one thing maybe missing from the Saints offense is the big plays. I think sometimes it takes so many third down conversions and so much methodical moving the chains to score. I think if anything, this offense could use a little bit more explosiveness. And I think in order for you to get that, he needs to be on the field.
So before we get out of here and I ask you one more question, guys, remember Armchair Media is the host of this podcast, the host network, and soon in June. Bet Online is going to be our sponsor, but Armchair Media has all sorts of great podcasts. They have skating podcasts. They have the Bird Calls podcast from the Birds Right blog. Search Armchair Media wherever you get your podcast. Search the Bird Calls. They have amazing content on the Pelicans, on the draft, on what's going on with the Saints and the Pelicans and how they addressed. They're going to address social change with the things going on in our world, but they have things on Lonzo Ball, on Zion's training in the offseason. So check out the Bird Calls. Search the Bird Calls wherever you get your podcast. So, Andrew, my final question to you. Over, under 15.5 catches for Deonte Harris. Over, under 270 yards of offense for 2020.
I'll go under on the catches and over on the yardage.
Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna go.
I mean, maybe 12, 13 catches, but I think they're going to be creative in how they get him the ball. So it's not going to be just catches. I think he's gonna get some jet sweeps, some runs, and I think he'll get over 250 yards for the year.
I have to go over because I created the headline and the graphic for this podcast. Deonte Harris is the next Tyreek Hill. So I'm going over. He is going to have either in September or October or November a monster fucking month where he becomes a number 3 fantasy receiver, and it'll just be like 2 or 3 games out of 5 where he's just incredible. But then he'll fade back, and like a lot of things in the Saints offense, it used to be Robert Meacham. He would appear, and then he would disappear. He'd have 2 good games, and then he would disappear for like 6 games. I think that's what's going to happen to Deonte Harris. But he's going to have like 2 or 3 games where he gets like 4 touches in each game, and that'll get him over the receiving and over 300 yards total. So guys, this is Saints Happy Hour. If you like it, why wouldn't you like this podcast? We're the best Saints podcast going, daily one. We're one of the only ones that do this every freaking day. Support us on Patreon. Become a $10 patron. Get your box of swag and be cooler than all your friends. So for Andrew, I'm Ralph. We'll see you again tomorrow.